Hello and welcome to the second part of section 4 in SAS programming course. In this one, we will talk more about reading in file types such as Excel files. But first of all, a little reminder from the last part. We were talking more about reading in raw data, and reading in raw data using SAS programming statements, it requires quite many small details and various options that you have to include in your code. And just a little tip that this a book called The Little SAS Book is a very good reference manual on this topic. So you should look into that to get some more advice on the topic. But of course, also SAS help is very valuable in that respect. But now we will jump forward into importing data from Excel. First thing to notice is that at least my experience is that observational data stored in Excel is rarely in a format that it can be directly converted into SAS. And for that reason, it's always good first to open the file in Excel and maybe make some modifications in order to get the Excel ready to be imported into SAS. First thing, it's good idea to remove everything extra from the Excel file and leave only the variable names and the values assigned to each variable. Variable names should lie on the first row of your Excel file, and then delete all the images and summary rows and blank rows and everything from there. Also, when you write your variable names in the Excel, it's good to follow the rules of the SAS names already on Excel side to make your life easier when you move to SAS. So here is a really brief example with a Excel file with two variables, name and age, and three values for each, and everything seems to be in order here. One thing to remember is that if you have missing observations, missing values, you should leave them empty, those cells empty in Excel in order to just to understand them correctly. So we have a couple of different techniques that you can use to import xlsx files into SAS. First one is easily available as a snippet in SAS Studio, but of course you might just as well write the code yourself. So for example, if you are using another user interface to SAS, then you can just type those statements yourself. But basically, opening this snippet gives you this good template to start with. It's giving a code for proc import, where you have a data file option where you specify the location and name of the xlsx file. There is the out option where you indicate where you want to save the resulting SAS dataset using a library reference, which is work here. And then you give a name for the SAS dataset, which is this my Excel here. dpms equals xlsx is a technique used to import the data. So here we are using a technique specifically for xlsx files and so on. This is the key details here. And here we have another piece of code where we have filled in these details. So we have filled in the file path as well as the name of the Excel file, remember to include the extension here. We are saving the resulting file into work folder. Remember, work is a temporary place, so when you shut down your SAS, work folder will be emptied. So if you want to save the data permanently, you should use another library reference instead of work. But the name of the file we give here is h_example. Yeah, this is the first technique. And then we have alternative solution that you can also use with SAS code. This technique is doing so that it creates a library reference, but earlier when we have been talking about library references, they always assigned the library reference to a specific folder. But this one is an exception because here we assign the library reference called help not to a folder but to one individual xlsx file. And then we can as a next step we can use proc datasets to give us a list of different sheets we have inside that one xlsx file. So by saying that proc datasets lib equals help is the name of the library reference, we get the Excel sheets or Excel tabs listed. And from that list, we find that one of the tabs is called ICA. And here in the next data step, we can simply use a set statement to take into use this Excel tab called ICA. So from help, we take ICA and we create a new SAS dataset called kokeilu. And then in the end, we just clear the libname statement. So we delete the connection to the Excel file, and then it's business as usual from there on. One thing there's actually several things to notice. First one is that the Excel data we are accessing this way, it must be on the server if we are using a server version of SAS. Another thing to notice is that the upper and lower cases in the code must match to the ones used in the file names. So here we have to be careful that the upper and lower cases are matching with the actual file name. And third thing to remember is that the Excel file cannot be open in Excel when you are running the SAS code here. So that you should close the Excel first. But yeah, when you remember those things, this is very convenient way to access the Excel files and get your data from Excel to SAS. Few more tips. If you have problems in getting your Excel files to SAS, what can you do? One thing, especially if you have an Excel file that has been used and modified many times over, it might be a good idea to copy the contents of your Excel table to clipboard and paste them into a fresh new Excel table. Then you might get rid of some of the haunting settings that might be originating from the fact that you have already changed the file many times over. Or even stronger way is to just paste the values instead of all the functions that you might have in the background. Pasting just the values deletes the functions from the background and makes things more simple. Another way that's basically following the same logic is that you might want to save the Excel file into more simple format. DBF is one idea, but also another one is to use some older Excel format or some other more simple format. One thing that might cause problems is also that if you have missing observations in several rows starting from the beginning of your file, SAS might look into, let's say, 20 or 30 first rows and make the decision on the variable type, for example, based on those rows. And if they are all missing, then it might make wrong decisions. So for that reason, you might want to add like a dummy row as the first row after the variable names, and then SAS can make the decisions on the file types based on that dummy row and work properly. But of course, then you have to remove that dummy row once you have the data already read into SAS. Steps you can also take in Excel. One is defining the column types to match the values on an Excel side. Maybe correcting some special characters you have stored in variables that you are planning to use as numeric variables. So often there might be things like equal sign or less than or larger than, and those kinds of special signs that might make your life harder. And also making the variable names conform to the rules of SAS, like I said earlier. Then, as a more extreme tip, also you can copy your data into SAS code window and then create the SAS data as we described in section 4.1. That's also one way to go. Or some complex variables, sometimes dates or times or something like that, you might require to use some specific tools such as informats to make things work properly. Then we jump away from Excel, importing data from other file formats. Proc import that we looked for xlsx files, that also works for several other file types, so you might want to look into that if you have other file types. Then in SAS Studio, there is the import data task, the point and click tool version. That also supports several other file types, just few examples: SPSS files, data files, jump files, and so on. And of course, more information you can find from SAS help or through making web searches that how you can import data from different sources. Yeah, thank you.